Halo Combat Evolved, a game which revolutionized the FPS genre, started one of the most well-known game franchises, and a multiplayer that turned boys into, well, still boys, but now they all slurs. However, I'm not interested in the multiplayer aspect of the game, because while I enjoy FPS genre, I do have some self-respect left. I did say some. What I'm here for is the campaign, the single-player FPS experience. That's my jam. Pussy. Halo Combat Evolved's campaign is still considered one of the best in the franchise, despite being old enough to drink in every country. Except some parts of India, apparently. I'm someone who never got into Halo. My only experience with it being is Red vs. Blue, and I guess Halo theme song. So I would say I have no bias towards or against the franchise. As for my vast experience in FPS games, well, that includes Call of Duty World at War, when I was 7 on my PlayStation 2, Call of Duty 2, also when I was 7 on my PlayStation 2, and more recently, Fallout 4. I don't even think you count that one, so I'm pretty much a veteran, I know. But there was always something about Halo that intrigued me. I can't really put my finger on it. Armor. It was the Mjolnir armor. So after a painful battle with Microsoft Store, seriously, unless you found a killer discount like me, just stick with Steam. I got the Master Chief Collection, booted Halo Combat Evolved, and beat the game. So was it worth it? Well...
Attention, Spartan. You have made a grave mistake by committing accidental tax fraud. You find yourself homeless.
I'll separate this video into sections so I can cover every major aspect of the game. First being the story. I think the story is simple yet effective. Well, for the most part. I only know Combat Evolved's story, and I am not familiar with the rest of the Halo's lore. So, while I'm sure Covenant gets expanded on in later games, for now they're simply just bad aliens that you have to beat. Now that you understand my knowledge of the Halo, I'll give you a quick summary of the story. What? It's story time. This is what kids want nowadays. The story opens with the Pillar of Autumn, a spaceship with humans on it, running away from the before-mentioned bad aliens, the Covenant. Right before being attacked, Captain Keyes wakes up the Master Chief. After getting to the bridge to meet with Captain Keyes, he tells us our role in this story, which is protecting the spaceship's AI, Cortana. You know, that Windows feature you always turn off. Because if the Covenant were to get their hands on Cortana, they would have the XYZ coordinates of Earth and F3 towards humanity, completely griefing our base and destroying our bed. Due to being attacked, Pillar of Autumn is forced to crash land on this unknown halo-shaped object. Master Chief and Cortana, alongside some other soldiers, left already in an escape pod.
We're gonna make it, aren't we, sir? I don't want to die out here!
Look!
He lied. After a happy landing, Master Chief and Cortana go around trying to save all the remaining Marines. From them, we find out that Captain Key survived, but has been captured by the Covenant. Now our objective is to go and save him. After infiltrating the enemy ship, on which Keyes was being held, we find him, and then he informs us that we need to find this powerful weapon and armory that is on the Halo, the thing you landed on, before the Covenant does. Chief and Cortana then find the control room of the Halo, and while trying to find the location of that weapon, they find out instead that there is no weapon, and that the armory is actually a prison for the parasitic creatures known as the Flood, who are the danger to the entire galaxy. Cortana stays in the control room to find out more about the Halo, while Master Chief needs to quickly jog towards the armory to stop anyone who tries to open it. However, Chief arrives too late. First time for everything, I guess. And the Covenant already made an oopsie and released the Flood. That activated Halo's AI, which is this round thingy that I can't be asked to Google the name of, so I'm just gonna call it George. George wants us to go get the Index, which is like a key to turn on the Halo, which can then get rid of the Flood, so Chief needs to go back to the control room. Turns out that there is a powerful weapon on the Halo, and it's the Halo itself. The way it gets rid of the Flood is by getting rid of its food source, aka everything that's a sentient life in the galaxy, aka us. So George is a fucking bastard who almost got us to kill ourselves and everyone else in the galaxy. but thankfully, Cortana managed to stop us from doing a big oopsie. George throws a hissy fit and decides he'll turn on the Halo himself, and now our objective is moved once more. Cortana determines that the best course of action is to destroy the Halo by making the Pillar of Autumn self-destruct and stop George in the process, who for some reason downloaded all the info about humanity. Which I don't really get why, because when he turns on the Halo everyone will be dead anyways. But whatever, maybe the humanity is in a different galaxy or something. The only way to make Pillar of Autumn self-destruct is to get Captain Keyes to do it, cause he has the codes. However, when Chief and Cortana go back to Keyes, he has already been consumed by the flood, so Chief rips away Chip with the codes in them from his head so Cortana can do it instead. After one final battle against George, Cortana activates the self-destruct and her and Chief barely managed to escape, right before the entire thing blew up. And that's pretty much all. I skipped some parts and some minor characters, but overall that's the shortest version of the Combat Evolved story. In my opinion, while I was a bit confused about some parts of the story when I first played it, I do believe that this was a perfect way to introduce people to the world of Halo. The story doesn't have that moment where characters will just sit back and start remembering when and why the war started. All you need to know is that humanity is at war and isn't currently doing too well. The start of the game is also great, making you feel like you walked into a story that was already ongoing, and not like everything started when you booted up the game, making Chief feel like a part of the story, and not story revolving around Chief, if that makes sense. Now, while I could do with one twist less for the sake of simplicity, it doesn't feel that shoved in, and if anything adds to the world's history, feeling like something like this already happened in the past. The design of the Covenant is also great, my favorite ones being those big crab things, and I could 100% see alien life looking like that. The Flood's design is straight up something out of a horror movie, and I think that's amazing. I've already mentioned in my previous video that I am a bitch when it comes to horror games, so I was genuinely feeling uneasy at some parts of the game, with their design being something that I wouldn't want to see jump on my face, and some levels having parts that feel claustrophobic and you can't see what's behind the next corner. Which brings me neatly into the next section of the video.
Survival is key, and that starts with finding the most efficient and tactical cardboard box to live in.
When it comes to the gameplay, it's a bit hard for me to talk about it, or compare it to anything similar, when I don't really play FPS games. But I'll try my best anyways. The gameplay is to pick up a gun and shoot at 100 enemies per level. All weapons except for the plasma rifle felt pretty satisfying to use. I really love the pistol and the needler, albeit for different reasons. I just find it fun when you put enough, I guess, needles in the enemy. They start panicking and running around before they blow up. It doesn't seem like much, but details like that are always amazing to see, and I never got tired of seeing it. Speaking of enemies, which can somehow speak perfect English, you got your grunts, elites, jackals, hunters, and 3 different types of the Flood. Grunts allowed me to commit short-on-short violence, and hunters apparently have a weakness that lets you one-shot them with a pistol. I kinda just kept shooting at them till it worked. Besides weapons and enemies, you have different types of vehicles, which I really wish were used in more levels, especially Banshee, which is a flying aircraft that I got to use once, and I don't even think it was necessary. Tanks were also barely used. Warthog, which is a jeep with a gun turret attached to it, something that GTA 5 shamelessly ripped off 12 years later, is used pretty often and is fun to drive, once you figure it out. As for difficulty of the game, well, you kinda choose that. Normal difficulty worked fine for me, despite me having an aim of a blind penguin. But what good is the gameplay if levels suck ass? So let's talk about...
Don't settle for any old box. You need one that's sturdy, large enough to fit your gear, and can shield you from the elements.
If I were to describe the level design of Combat Evolved, it would be amazing but repetitive. What I mean by that is that you have some great key moments, but those key moments become less great when you have to experience them for like 3 more times. But they're really good. First level especially is really amazing, when you can feel and see the chaos going on, crew panicking and getting blown up. In the contrast to that, the second level is much more open and a lot less chaotic, really letting you take a breather and play at your own pace. The first couple of levels with the Flood feel like something out of a horror movie, with narrow hallways where you can't see what lies behind the next corner, to more open levels where you get surrounded and have to fight your way out. It's really great, from both the gameplay and the atmosphere perspective. However, and I know this is gonna sound weird, but I wish the shooting game had a little bit less shooting. I mentioned vehicles, and while the Warthog gets plenty of action, others not so much. If we had maybe one level in which we get to play in the Banshee or the tank for the majority of the time, it really helped game feel less repetitive. It's not a huge deal, but it really feels like it was a missed opportunity to have them in the game and use them like once or twice. Now, while playing the game, we get to listen to its
You need to be cautious around other homeless people.
slaps.
Foot hygiene is crucial, especially when living on the streets.
In the Master Chief Collection, you get to adjust graphics on the fly with one press of a button, which I really wish more remasters had. I wanted an authentic 2001 experience, so I played with the original graphics, and despite their age, I do think the game still looks great. Halo, as in the weapon on which the game takes place, not the game, looks especially good when looking at it. Now, first couple of levels I admittedly couldn't see shit, because it was dark and me being a fucking dumbass didn't know I had a flashlight till halfway into the game. So maybe me thinking that graphics aren't that bad is because I couldn't see them. Now, of course, the remastered graphics look much, much better, and if your PC can handle the game at those graphics, then by all means experience the game like that. I'm someone with a lower end PC, and performance is much more important to me than how pretty something looks. Not to mention I emulate shitload of PSP and PlayStation 2 games, so I'm kinda used to graphics like that. But that's enough about that. I think it's time for the...
Remember, Spartan, you may be homeless, but you're not defeated.
Already from the first level I was impressed by the game. Everything from sound effects to music to people fighting and dying made everything feel more alive than I expected. I really kept my expectations low because of the game's age and nostalgia always fogging the memories. I speak from personal experience with that last one. Gameplay is simple yet satisfying, and aiming seems a lot easier than in some other FPS games I try to get into. You have plenty of weapons to play around and vehicles are really fun, when you get to drive them, that is. And while I don't see the need or want to replay the game, that could just be me, because I usually don't replay games besides my favorite ones like Hollow Knight, or games I feel nostalgic for like Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Who comes up with these names? But overall game, in my opinion, is a 7 out of 10. It's a good game, and from what I hear, Halo 2 and 3 are everything Combat Evolved is, but just much better. So I'm sure I would give those games a higher grade if I were to play them. I'm not sure if I will though. Anyways, that's all from me.